High Spots and Cheap Pops. Today, we talk AEW Full Gear. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Silicon Steve Valli. On the other side is my partner in crime in the world of pro wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, Vladi Dadi. You like the pot out? Get it off. And we are just a couple days away from Full Gear tomorrow night from frickin' Newark, New Jersey. John Moxley and MJF headline there, the main event. Then he's speculating MJF will finally get Pretty Platinum, as he's called, as AEW World Champion. And we got 10 other beautiful matches happening tomorrow night in Newark, New Jersey. Vladi Dadi, how are you doing? And are you ready to defend the Purple Nurple? You are up by one match. This is my last shot to break through and win back my Purple Nurple, the championship of the Pick'em Championship here on High Spots and Cheap Pops.
I am so ready to defend this. As you know, AEW tends to be somewhat favorable in terms of my picks.
Lately, yeah.
I am definitely in tune with Mr. Tony Khan. Basically, very similar to him, but I am not a billionaire. However, I guess I'm still a mark. So I got that going for me.
You sure are. We're both beautiful marks, though. I love when a wrestling fan acts like they're not a mark. Oh, look at that mark. Oh, you're just a mark. Meanwhile, he's there at every Comic Con paying $25 for some jackoff who doesn't care about him to sign his picture.
Right.
But we're the marks. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're all marks, people. No more judgment. Let's get going, Vladi Dadi. You are usually the quarterback of these picks. What do we got first? I am ready to take back my Purple Nurple. I sent you my picks. You're a man of honor. You know what your picks are. Let's go. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So let's lead off with a championship match of all things. A heavily anticipated one, I'd say, but with a weird, rushed sort of build, in my opinion. We got the TNT Championship with Wardlow, the champion, defending against Powerhouse Hobbs, which to me is a dream match in itself. But then for some reason we sprinkled in Samoa Joe because he was not necessarily impressed with Wardlow's comments about being a champion of everything, which was sort of vague, but Samoa Joe reacted. So do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
Well, I don't know if it was rushed. They were trying to build something between Wardlow and Samoa Joe. Never really picked up, to be honest with you. That the Ward Joe thing was never really picking up. You saw the tension building over a matter of weeks. So I wouldn't say it was rushed. I think you could have just had Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs, but you're also, you got Samoa Joe who's back from injury. You want to get him on the card somewhere. I think this is just a way to get Samoa Joe on the pay-per-view, because Tony leaves a lot of really great people off these pay-per-views, like FTR. FTR, again, not getting a tag team match on the pay-per-view. That's a whole other deal. So I don't mind it quite as much. Samoa Joe cut a nice, badass promo this past week. Looking forward to three really tough dudes. So I don't hate it as much as you or dislike it as much as you, but I do believe Wardlow is going to walk out your TNT champion.
Yeah, that's my opinion as well. Wardlow wins. I feel like they added a third person to like sort of take the heat off of one of the other, at least two of the others, if you will. So Wardlow, I don't think they're moving that championship yet. And if you had to guess, who do you think's going to job on this one?
I would say Joe would.
That's my thinking too.
I think he's put the young kids over, but you can have a really good. Let's see Samoa Joe have a really good run here or something. But I mean, he has one of like 20 championships, and to me, the Ring of Honor Television Championship is probably like, am I supposed to care? I don't know.
Everybody gets a title. It's important.
Powerhouse Hobbs doesn't.
That's true. It's very true. All right, so let's carry on here. Next match. Can't wait for this one. Sting and Darby Allin versus none other than one of my personal favorites, eye roll, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, Elizabeth's own Jay Lethal.
Well, that's good. The homeboy, because Newark and Elizabeth is not far. You're talking about probably 10 miles or so, not even.
Right.
So that's going to be good. The hometown boys there. Jeff Jarrett's debut. The thing is, Sting and Darby Allin are undefeated on pay-per-view. Sting has yet to lose. I believe he's yet to lose a match on pay-per-view. So that worried me, but I'm going to go with the Jersey Boy and the debuting Jeff Jarrett. I think the heels are going to win this one, and Darby and Sting will lose their first pay-per-view.
Interesting. This is where we differ. I chose Sting and Darby. Continue with the undefeated streak, basically continuing it.
You're probably going to win. One of the reasons I did pick it, because I figured you'd go with Darby and Sting. They never lost. And I don't know, is Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal the ones to get him to lose? Also, I believe, didn't Darby just recently lose to Jay Lethal?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. So I think it's a shitty, stupid decision on my part. Maybe I should change it. But never mind. Nevertheless, I'm not going to. Hopefully, stupid Jeff Jarrett can do something good in his worthless life.
Another great
Double J.
Another great promo on Wednesday night.
I didn't see his promo. How was his promo this week, Vladi?
It was just laughable. It was bad. It was just I didn't realize you weren't watching it that night, and I didn't realize you were watching it the next day. So it was so bad and laughable. I almost texted you, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. So yeah, you gotta it's forgettable too. I just remember watching it as I was watching on the DVR.
What was bad about it though?
I don't even remember it, and I just block it out. It doesn't live rent free in my head. I just remember it's garbage, and I laughed at it, and I'm like, this is what Tony Khan's putting on Full Gear, but we don't have FTR. We got Jeff Jarrett, but not FTR.
I'm with you.
I mean, my God. So
JEFF JARRETT Jeff Jarrett.
So let's go on to the next match, which was, I would say, somewhat of an inspiring sort of situation here in women's wrestling. First time they've grabbed my attention in some ways here in a while. And we have the return match of Saraya, formerly known as Paige in WWE, making her debut match at AEW.
Saraya, by the way.
Saraya, whatever.
Well, I mean, she likes to be called Saraya, so let's just call her by her name, right?
Are you sure that's definitely how she pronounces it? 100%?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I thought I made a mental note to pay attention to what the announcers were calling her, and I thought it was it. So,
I did my research. I know for a fact it's Saraya.
Okay. Anyways, she's going against Britt Baker, who did and then I'm hoping I pronounced Britt Baker properly.
No, it's Bright Bakir.
Bright Bakir. She's Montreal. She's French Canadian, evidently.
EMD. Bright Bakir.
So Britt Baker, hell of a promo on Dynamite, going against Saraya.
2 in a row too, because she had a beast of a promo the week before. This match is the first non-title match in AEW history women's match in AEW history that I really remember being excited about. They've done it. They've done a lot. They've done a really good job building this, I feel like, and I thought the last couple promos between the women were really great. I don't think it's as exciting as it could have been. I don't necessarily know if the build was good. I think you could have built Saraya's return a little bit better. However, the promos that both of these women cut, particularly Britt Baker, particularly this past week, which I think it should have been in front of the crowd. You cut this badass promo, and you couldn't really have the crowd part. The crowd's part of the show. The crowd's part of what makes things go. And for Baker to do that backstage, I thought that was, again, another missed opportunity by Tony Khan. Let some of these amazing promos in the back. Usually those in the back promos aren't memorable. And I think because the promo she cut last night was in the back, or on Wednesday night was in the back, I think it took some of the value away from that promo. And the promo was brilliant. She almost had tears in her eyes when she was talking about what she's been through. And you kind of see, it's almost like a bro down right now, where they're both like, I respect you, bro. Well, I respect you too, bro. Saraya came out during her promo and said that Britt, the reason she went after her is because she is the best. And Britt was saying, I'll show you who I am and what I deserve to be. So there was a little bit lack of that respect that Britt is feeling from Saraya, but Saraya did give her some respect within that within her promo. So I feel like you're going to have a situation where you're going to have a babyface handshake at the end of this match with Saraya winning.
Yeah, that's my choice too. Saraya.
That'd be weird if she came back and her first match was a loss.
Yeah. Bet the house on Saraya.
Yeah.
All right. Next match.
Next match.
Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus his former friendly dinosaur, Luchasaurus. Steel cage match.
I think this is clearly Mr. Jungle Boy is going to win this one and get his revenge on Luchasaurus. Okay.
100%. I agree with you. I even see a major high spot, if you will, in this match where Jungle Boy will woo the crowd.
Will he, though?
He's going to try his best to woo you for sure. So
I will say, I haven't. This feud has really, he ran out of juice 2 months ago. Let's be real.
Well, since Christian was injured, that sort of,
Yeah, that was a big part of it, but also I think they dragged it on a little bit. I mean, what did he turn on him in June sometime? And here we are 5 months later, and it really hasn't progressed much. It's still this kind of the same thing. They kind of just flip-flopped with Luchasaurus being a heel and a baby face. I don't know. I mean, I don't think this one, you thought this would have been, this was such a red-hot angle back in the summertime. Sometime, especially in June and in July. And then it really fizzled off, but he kept on going. It kept on going. It kept on going. And here we have a steel cage match that I don't think as many people are anticipating and is looking forward to the way I think they thought they should be, particularly it being a steel cage match. But that being said, nonetheless, yeah, Jungle Boy wins this one and wins the feud with his friend Luchasaurus. And then he'll finally take on Christian. Hopefully Christian will be cleared at some point soon.
Yep, I totally agree. Jungle Boy with the win. So next, let's go to the TBS Championship. And we have the champion, Jade Cargill, who is currently without her title. Cannot find it, cannot get it back by hook or by crook.
I know where it is.
And going against Nyla Rose.
Another New Jersey native, Nyla Rose. I think she's Elizabeth, isn't she? Is she Elizabeth or is she?
Not sure.
Pretty sure she's from New Jersey.
I think just you're making outrageous claims.
Outrageous. Well, I might be getting her confused with Sunny Kiss because I know she's from, I believe, Jersey, Newark herself.
Are you confusing Nyla Rose with the Concrete Rose?
I think I might be, but I also thought Nyla Rose was also from New Jersey. I think Jade Cargill. I'm with you, Vladi Dadi. You're going with Jade Cargill?
Yes. Something's got to put an end to this incredible feud.
Well, Nyla Rose has done her best to be entertaining, and she's been at times very fun with this little thing. However, I think they probably could have started the title. That went on a little long as well. Every week, Jade Cargill was coming out with saying, I'm going to beat her. I'm going to find her. And she never found her. She never got her title back for whatever reason. So Jade, get your title back. Nyla and Jade. I'm not sure what kind of match this is going to be, but I know Jade Cargill is winning.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
Moving right along. So this pay-per-view doesn't have a lot of juice to it.
Not really. Well, speaking of juice, if any match should have it, perhaps this should be it, no? You have the Trios Championship with Death Triangle and the triumphant return of the Elite.
What happened to them anyway? Where have they been?
I think they were managing a Target somewhere.
Well, I think the Elite comes back and wins. I don't like how they did that either. You just show a little graphic that they're going to be there. I thought Pac had a good promo to call them out. But because Pac and, of course, Ray Phoenix have been having a little bit of issues with if they should be rule breakers or not. I think that plays into it. Plus the fact that they're returning. I'm with you. I think the Elite wins this one. You said you might have been tipping your hand because you said it was going to be triumphant.
Yep.
I'm going with the Elite.
It's going to be the Elite. 100%. The Hammer is definitely going to be involved in this match. They
Greg the Hammer Valentine?
No, the Hammer.
The Hammer?
The Hammer that they use to ring the bell, of course. But yeah, this fixation that Pac has with it, and Ray Phoenix not like necessarily doing. And honestly, what you're going to probably see is the breakup of Death Triangle here too.
Yeah, which is going to be sad.
So, yeah. So, you have that return. The Elite. Do you think we're going to hear that song by Kansas, Wayward Sons?
I don't know why they did that. I don't know if they're coming back any different than they usually do. I don't know how they're coming back. The graphic looked like it was going to be normal, and they're still called the Elite. So I have no idea what they're going to do. Time will tell. But yeah, they did trademark Wayward Sons. Yep. So perhaps they're starting a brand new faction. Just in
with
case.
Adam Cole and Adam Page.
Well, just in case they all bail and go to WWE when their contracts are up next year.
Yeah, they're definitely talking about that at this point.
Well, I mean, again, it's funny because they're the Elite. It's called All Elite Wrestling. It was literally named after their group, and a quarter of them are already gone, and all their contracts are up next year. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I mean, there is a world where you could see FTR, the Elite, and MJF out of WWE within a year and a half. That is that is a possibility at this particular point in time.
Yeah, I don't think it's too far-fetched, like, honestly.
I don't believe MJF is leaving. I think MJF has already inked a long-term deal. I do believe that. But
yeah, we'll see. Definitely.
We'll get there.
He's definitely going to play into it no matter what, if he's signed or not. But let's go ahead to the next match here. The Ring of Honor World Championship match here. It's a fatal four-way, just so if you couldn't believe that. Chris Jericho is, of course, your champion against, my mind, probably the best professional wrestler on the planet right now, Bryan Danielson, versus Sammy Guevara versus Claudio Castagnoli. And let me make one comment real quick. On Wednesday night with Danielson and Claudio as a tag team, I really liked what they had going there. I love their match. Claudio is a good, like, I don't want to just refer to him as a heater, but it's just like there's a good, like, optic there between Claudio's height, Daniel Bryanson's abilities, and Claudio's abilities as well. I mean, it's a good, like, tag team or the beginnings of a faction. Like, they need to be more centric, like more centered and like viewed as being like unified. I really liked what they had going in there. So if you want, I'll go first. Unless you want to go first.
I think Jericho wins this one too.
I agree. I totally believe it, because the other thing I thought of was I think in December they have Ring of Honor pay-per-view. I don't think there's any way they're doing a Ring of Honor pay-per-view without Jericho being in the main event world title match and going in there as the champion.
Yes.
So that totally is the reason why.
And I think it's too short of a title reign for him, because with as big of a deal as being the Ocho and how he wants to solidify Ring of Honor as a real championship. So I just think it's too early for this Jericho run, because it's Jericho, he's going to have a run. I think it was too quickly to drop the title. I think you see a little bit of dissension between Claudio and Bryan. And it might also lead to some dissension with Sammy and Jericho, but we'll see what happens. But Jericho walks out your Ring of Honor champion, no doubt about that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, so the next match.
Good. I'm glad you agree with me.
It's good to be agreeable.
We've been agreeing way too much lately. I haven't had a chance because we keep on picking the same picks. True. That's why. I mean, I literally picked Jarrett, and
Jay Lethal.
I almost called him Scorpio Sky. But yeah, I picked Jarrett and Lethal because I figured I needed to have something different from it. It was literally one of the reasons I picked that match. But go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so we got the interim AEW Women's Championship. If the champion of Toni Storm against Jamie Hayter, who is, of course, definitely one of my personal favorites. I think she's incredibly talented. So, do you want me to go first?
You are welcome to. I already sent you my picks, but you can certainly go first.
All right. I'm going with Jamie Hayter. I think it happens.
I think it should happen. I think Tony does do it. However, because Toni Storm has not picked up any momentum since she won that championship. And Jamie Hayter's getting a lot of cheers. However, I did pick Toni Storm anyway because I just think Tony doesn't make really good decisions sometimes.
So you pick Toni Storm.
I think Toni Storm wins this one and maintains the world championship, even though she has been a complete afterthought for the last 2 months.
Yeah, there's
You're probably right.
You might be right, honestly, too, because the whole interim thing is, like looming. And then I saw today that he's looking to like remove Thunder Rosa.
Yes.
From like the roster or something too. And just, okay, so then does that mean that she's no longer an interim champion? Is she the world champ? Like, is he going to clarify that before this match happens?
Yeah, but then you have the built-in storyline with Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. I think you might see Baker actually, even though Hayter's the one who's more popular at the moment, you might see Baker turn babyface shortly after.
Right. Yeah, I can see that happen for sure too. So, yeah, this is one where we differ, but I think we're both sane in our decisions here and the reasons why we're choosing them. So
yeah.
So here we go to the next one. We got the AEW Tag Team Championship with the champions, the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory.
How great was Max Caster's raps on Wednesday? The coming down the aisle, making it with the Jay Leno line, which I loved, which was, ballsy because it just had happened.
Yep.
Happened like a day or two before. Did
you hear about this? He
burned himself with one of his exotic vehicles. Guy spends $20 million a year on his cars. You hear this? And then he got burned by it. You hear this? You read that? God bless you, Jay Leno. Turning American comedy lame for 20 years. Great job, buddy. Anyway, I'm kidding. We wish Jay Leno a speedy recovery, just like Tony Schiavone did.
You know what is so funny to me is after Caster did that rap, Schiavone felt the need to be like serious about it. Like that made me laugh out loud too.
It's incredible. It was incredible because they did work together. Absolutely. Jay, we talked about it, I think, last week. I don't know if it made air. We talked about Jay Leno's brutal match he had with DDP and Bischoff and Hogan. I think it was DDP. It might have been Goldberg, actually. I think it was Goldberg. Can we find that out? Let's find that out. Jay Leno's match.
I think he had more.
It was DDP. We were right the first time.
So he had DDP. Did he only have one match?
I believe so.
Okay. That's all he deserved, really.
And it was bad. Yeah, it was terrible. Bad. DDP always had the celebrity guests with him. He had him and Karl Malone. Bang! Love DDP. One of the good. He's what they call a mensch. You know, I don't think he's Jewish, so I don't know if that matters.
No, he is.
You'd think he would be.
He is, I believe. Paige Falkenberg.
Yeah. God bless it. There's a mensch right there. Great shape, too.
Also, unlike Nyla Rose, born in New Jersey.
That's exactly right. Jersey born and bred. Remember the troika between him? I forgot what their name was. They had a really cool little...
The triad.
The triad, yeah. It was Bam Bam Bigelow and Canyon and DDP. And they had some fun things. They had some fun things going on in some of the lesser times of WCW toward the end of their run. But they had a good little run there. I really liked what they were doing. They were certainly having fun. So with that said, I'm very certain that the Acclaim will win this match and Swerve in Our Glory will finally have the breakup. I don't know if the breakup happens on Saturday night or if it will actually happen the following Wednesday. But the Acclaim, make no mistake, walk out as your AEW World Tag Team Championships. And I think they're staring at a battle with FTR not too far down the line, because I think Tony's going to try to make it up to just FTR and the fans to not having them for the second straight pay-per-view in a tag team match, in a high-profile tag team match. Brutal job, Tony. Just a brutal. You can't make it up at this point. Brutal job.
You can't make this up.
You know, it's like, oh, I think their momentum's shot now. I think we finally broke their momentum. Cool. We'll start booking them again. That was close, right? Right, Bucks?
That's one of my favorite things you've ever said on the show.
I'm glad I could make you happy, Vladi Dadi, and hopefully we're making our 87 subscribers now. We are gaining subscribers like a dirty, dirty little birdie gets syphilis. What does that even mean, Vladi Dadi? I don't know what's going on anymore.
I have no idea. Oh, my God. And by the way, what did you think of the Captain Insano video that they did with like the two actors playing Swerve and Keith Lee?
I loved it. I thought, and I absolutely loved the rhyme. Because if I don't remember, I'm not sure if you remember, but Max Caster is he's not your typical rap disser, where it doesn't really, where it's kind of like he says, remember when Cena was doing it? It was kind of like the obvious insults. Max Caster goes deep into some shit. The Bucks quit Twitter back in the day, a couple of years back, and Max Caster actually, when they were heels, they actually challenged for the AEW championships against the Bucks, and he said, "Who quit Twitter? Who quit Twitter? Because the fans hate them." Like, Caster goes a little bit deeper and always plays into the social media and always plays into the dirt sheets, and this was no exception. He goes in and he says something to the effect, and I think I sent you the actual line, which I loved. Got your family up in the dirt sheets just to say how esteemed you are. Only a snake would align with the media. Like, saying things like that, kind of throwing shade at the media, throwing shade at Swerve all at the same time. Caster does that. He goes a little bit deeper than your typical rap, your typical diss track, and I really appreciate it. And he's actually sounds good too. The song was got me bumping. I'm like smoking my blunt, and I was like, shit, man, it's just like Method Man and Redman. You know what I mean? So it was good for me. I loved it. I loved his rhyme. I love Max Caster. I love the Acclaim. I think what they're doing is brilliant. I
love the guy that they cast as Keith Lee.
Oh yeah, that was great.
And the way they had his cadence with his lines of dialogue. And I'm like, you know what? They just nailed it, because Keith Lee is really like his stars really dropped for me. And the way they made fun of him was just priceless.
The probability of, yeah.
And Swerve is just like looking at him, and you know they sort of dressed Swerve up, and then I know this because being a dad, it's like it was literally like Swiper from what we call it. From Swiper Keep Swiping or Stop Swiping.
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about, Vladi Dadi. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. It's the one on Nickelodeon. It's very Dora the Explorer.
My daughter wasn't into that too much.
My daughter was. So, yeah, the way they did the mask and had the way a guy acting was as if he was like the fox that basically steals everything.
Oh, I do know Swiper. I do vaguely remember him a couple of times. Yeah, I liked it. He kind of looked like Swerve too, with the overabundance of gold in his mouth, and it was great. It was really funny. Swerve was trying to catch him every single time, doing underhanded deeds, where Keith Lee was just being a real big happy fat guy. You know, the one part where he tried to bring him in with his rope, and Keith Lee came in spinning with his gut sticking out. Yeah, it was funny. Keith Lee's still pretty over with the crowd, with the exception of when they go up against the Acclaimed. That was a funny part when he brought up how the Acclaimed were excited, that the fans were as excited for Keith Lee as they were the Acclaimed. Look, the Acclaimed is a hot new act, and it's one of the real bright spots of AEW. And again, I think they hold their titles until they lose to FTR before FTR jobs to the Bucks on their way out to WWE.
It's going to happen.
I think it's exactly how that's going to happen. Exactly. But I digress.
You called it for sure. So, hey, next match, the Eliminator Tournament Finals. So, I guess, I don't know what's the deal here. So, basically, we have 2 matches, and then the winner of these matches face each other. Is that what's going on?
Ethan Page isn't in the finals?
It's Ethan Page versus Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, or Lance Archer.
Well, apparently Brian Cage beat Ethan Page, I guess.
When?
I guess on, I don't know. It's what it says on Wikipedia. I looked at the...
Well, what I'm seeing here, it seems as if Ethan Page is in the match, which he did win on Dynamite. And I guess he's waiting for either Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, or Lance Archer.
See, what's interesting is that Brian, it says right here, for whatever reason, it says Brian Cage versus Lance Archer and Ricky Starks on Wikipedia. And I just thought Ethan Page just won his match. Where's Ethan Page involved in this? My pick is Ethan Page. But I'm reading in Wikipedia, Ethan Page isn't even in. It's going to be Brian Cage. So did Brian Cage and Ethan Page, is that match? I don't get it. And are both matches happening on Rampage on Friday?
Hold on, let me see.
It's fascinating.
You're fascinating.
I know.
All right, so we're going to go, we're both going with Ethan Page. I'm not finding that match just yet. However, we're both going with it, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So then, if that's the case, if for some reason we have to go and amend that, we will. We could do that on any of our social media
Ricky Starks. Then again, you figure Ricky Starks might be the guy, depending on who the champion is.
We're both going Ethan Page.
But I might want to go Ricky Starks.
Well,
what I sent you said Ricky Starks.
Okay, so
Ethan Page wasn't part of my periphery because what I got in the matches, Ethan Page was not listed.
He's definitely in it. Whatever, Wikipedia is run by a bunch of drunken sailors at this point.
Lost sailor.
I mean, Ethan Page had the win on Wednesday. He's in.
Yeah. Ethan Page has moved on into the AEW, winning his match this week. Wednesday show, Page defeat Bandito to advance. Right. Page will face the winner of the other semifinal, which will be Ricky Starks or Lance Archer, Ricky Starks, or Brian Cage at Full Gear. Well, how is Brian Cage? How are they doing that? There's 3 guys left. How are they doing that?
Triple threat.
This makes no sense. Can someone explain to me what the hell is going on? How are there 3 guys left and Ethan Page is already in the finals? What is going on here?
I thought Tony Khan was a statistician.
I'm really confused by this. Is nobody else confused by this but me? Because we know there's 4 guys left, but it's saying that Ethan Page is already in the finals. Ethan Page advances to AEW World Eliminator titles. All Ego Ethan Page is headed in the final round of the AEW Eliminator Tournament. The firm member defeated Bandito. It's still not determined who he will face, as Ricky Stark still needs to wrestle Lance Archer in the last opening round. Watch on with the winner of that match facing off in Brian Cage. So the winner of Ricky Starks and Lance Archer will face Brian Cage in the buy-in, and the winner of that match goes on to face Ethan Page. I think Ethan Page beats Ricky Starks in the finals.
I agree with you. Ethan Page.
Sorry, we had to get there, folks. We had to figure out where Brian Cage works his magic in this at all. I think, but I do believe that is what happens, and I think you'll see Ricky Starks beat Brian Cage once again. Got his number.
You do have his number. Final match here.
Weird order. You picked the Eliminator finals right just before the world title.
I just copied and pasted it from a website that had the card.
Well, it was a weird order for them.
Okay. And also I went backwards. They basically let off with the championship match, which we're finally on.
Yes. Well, you want to give your readers in that instance, you want to give them the lead. You want to give them the big story first. So that's fine.
So here we are.
We're back.
And I will choose. I'll go first. I am going with MJF in the world title match against Jon Moxley.
Me too. I wouldn't book it that way. I would book a double turn. I've been very honest about that. But it doesn't look like that's the way they're going to go. The promo this past week where MJF is going to show him that he is the devil and the greatest trick the devil ever played is convincing the world he doesn't exist. I think something really big happens. I have a feeling the firm will give MJF some backing, even though I don't know how that plays out with Ethan Page at a later date. Does Ethan Page then turn babyface? I don't know. But if MJF promises to be the devil, he's going to do something dastardly. However, the crowd's cheering for him no matter how much of a piece of shit he has been and what he says, the crowd still cheers for him. So it's very tricky keeping this guy a heel in the climate that we're in, because right now he's arguably the most popular wrestler in AEW right now. I mean, people were booing Jon Moxley in Connecticut when the crowd actually made noise, because it was a really weird crowd in Connecticut. When MJF came out for the first time, they weren't even cheering him. And then he finally got him to start cheering. It was weird. Like you thought he would get that big warrior pop right there, and he didn't. So it was a very weird crowd. I felt like last night. But yeah, I think if you're going to see something special, he's trying to get people to buy in. I would like a double. Again, like I said before, I'd like a double turn with Moxley being the heel and MJF. I think it could be something historic. And then you can get MJF still feud with Moxley, but maybe you wait down to Revolution, and then he wins the title at Revolution as your babyface. That may not be the way it happens, and I don't think it is. I think MJF wins as well, and I'm with you. I don't know how great of a match it's going to be and what's going to happen, but it's not clear cut that he's going to win. So I am excited for this particular match, and I'm excited to see how it happens. And that's what you want in a professional wrestling match. So kudos to MJF and Mox. They both have been cutting great promos this entire program. Again, though, is it enough for AEW to turn the ship around? 818,000 people tuned in to watch them this past week, the lowest they've had since before CM Punk, I believe, without it being a special occasion. They're on Tuesday or they have the World Series against them, what have you. There's plenty of tickets left to buy at this pay-per-view, which is tomorrow night. You go on Ticketmaster. So many great seats still available. You're not used to that in AEW. You usually see these sold out or close to sell out. That's not the case here. AEW is no longer the cool brand. And it's something that I think is very concerning right now for people thinking of long-term history, long-term health of this company.
Yeah, these are all valid points you drive home. If I could just give a couple of thoughts on the final match here before we wrap this up. One of the things I think that we're going to see here is MJF winning, but one of the reasons I think of this as well is like the way Moxley mentioned Newark being his hometown. We mentioned that last week. It was a bit of baby face, like in a baby face realm there. I also remember when Moxley ended up getting the title back after the whole media scrum with Punk. Basically, Moxley was supposed to be going on a vacation. And I have a feeling they've set things in a certain way where Moxley can finally take that break. And that was another reason. You and I haven't talked about it, but honestly, that was definitely part of my decision in this. And I don't know if it's the firm that maybe takes Moxley out a little bit. And then, because basically they've already attacked both Moxley and MJF. They don't really, you see what the firm is doing. And I think they've already set the table for MJF's first opponent being Ethan Page, and that'll be his first victory at a pay-per-view, whatever the case might be. Maybe it's Winter is Coming, whatever. But yeah, this is what I'm seeing. The one question mark here too to watch to me about anybody turning is Regal. You mentioned his body language. I was watching it, and we know that MJF is not going to be using, the diamond ring. He's made that very clear. But what if Regal goes and teams up with his, the guy that was like the young talent in WWE that impressed him all those years ago? And if the brass knuckles are used in this match for some reason. Just, I've been paying attention a little bit more closely to Regal, and it's just, there's definitely Moxley's promo was about his Regal relationship too. Like Regal's definitely at the one of the there's a triangle going on here now all of a sudden. So I'm very intrigued with how he interacts, reacts, and again, you know what, true AEW fashion, he might just be at the announce table flirting with the masked man and not do anything. But
Man in the Mask.
Yeah, but there might just be a case here where he maybe uses the brass knucks on Mox, and then the devil wins. So
that's a hard sell for him. You're trying to turn him into a babyface, though.
That is very true, and maybe it's done even by accident. I don't know, but I paid attention a little bit more closely when you brought up Regal as well, and I'm like, his mannerisms are sort of catching my eyes, and I mean, again, it's almost like these two guys are sort of vying for his personal attention in some ways, his approval.
And MJF actually came out when Regal started joining the fight. So MJF kind of made the save for Regal more so even than Moxley.
Yeah.
So, good astute point, Vladi Dadi. But it definitely feels like this AEW momentum is as less as it's been since it started right now. And that's something, again, I'm personally concerned about it. I really am. We'll see what happens. MJF if anyone can pull it out of the funk and put it on their back and be the new big thing, I think it is MJF. And you're going to see MJF do a lot of work on screen over the next several months. So we'll see what happens. So I'm actually not even watching the pay-per-view live, Vladi Dadi. I'm actually going to be at a concert in Reading, Pennsylvania.
I thought we were going to watch it together, though, man.
We were going to. But I'm boycotting it.
Oh.
I'm boycotting until they fire CM Punk officially.
Wow.
Until he's officially released from his contract, I'm boycotting AEW pay-per-view events. I'm joking. I am going to get it, but I'm not going to watch it till Sunday. Vladi Dadi, I'm really sorry that we had to not do that, but
I understand, and I'll eventually get over with it. I might even go and watch it with the Portuguese Mouse himself.
The Portuguese Mouse, legendary author and lover, Ray Pearson. It's going to be fun.
That doesn't sound like a Portuguese name. That's odd.
Very odd.
It's ironic. It's more Anglo.
Ray Pearson. Life's cruel trick. Cool joke. Life's cool joke. I have it on my mantle. Check it out. Quick little plug. So how, on a scale of 1 to 10, Vladi, how are you excited for this pay-per-view?
You know what? I do want to watch it. But truthfully, if we're scale 1 to 10, I'm more amped for WrestleMania already versus this pay-per-view that's going to happen only in a few days. So if Mania was a 9 on a scale of 10, this is probably, I don't know, 6.5.
I was going to say 6 for myself as well.
Yeah.
And I'm the AEW homer. So there's that.
Yeah.
I'm the one filleting the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega for the last couple of years, right? So
yeah.
Until FTR got the screws put to him.
Then you saw the light.
So let me get this straight. The Elite are getting suspended. They drop their titles. They come back and they're getting their titles right away. All right.
And a match on the pay-per-view.
I mean, you should have them on there, even though we have seen that the Elite aren't the draw, at least that they thought they were, or at least that they once were. And that's going to have to change. You know, Kenny being hurt for so long, I thought they botched his return. And I don't think they're doing great with this return either, to be honest with you. But hopefully Kenny's now a little bit healthier and ready to be another one guy. But I think you're really underutilizing Kenny Omega when you're not, his main thing isn't trying to win that world championship. Hopefully they get there with Kenny. But we'll see. I think that's something that they're definitely underutilizing that situation. They're underutilizing Miro. They're underutilizing FTR. Something's got to give here. Bryan Danielson, he's being underutilized. So, and he's been great.
And you say that, and he wrestles almost every week. But he's still underutilized.
Yeah, I think his time's coming. I think you're probably going to see him with a title run at some point in 2023. But then you're already 2 years into his contract. I don't know how long he's got. They usually are 3 to 4 years. And he's yet to really, we got to see Kenny and Bryan Danielson again, right? You would assume that would be one of the matches we see. You know? But who knows? It's a very weird situation right now in AEW. I don't see the next 6 months is going to be so critical to this survival of this company. And we'll see what happens. Well, we'll check out Full Gear. We'll have a report next week. We'll actually come back with you next week with some reports, talk about all the great things that are happening in WWE, getting excited for War Games and Survivor Series. Vladi Dadi, what else do you have for us this week before we get into Full Gear?
Oh, you know what? I think you put a pretty little bow on it. I really don't have much else to add other than, hey, enjoy the pay-per-view. And we're going to look forward to talking about it next week. And hope otherwise everybody has a very safe weekend. And we'll be talking to you soon.
And ladies and gentlemen, for Vladi Dadi, this is Silicon Steve Valli. Here endeth the lesson.